a guy from Germany will teach you something about Indian culture. Bollywood movies basically crashed my sense of relationships, and not just for me, but I think for a whole generation. I really thought that love can overcome everything and those intense feelings last forever. Oh, how I was wrong. There are probably some people from India watching this video, and they could ask themselves, why is a guy from Germany with Serbian roots so obsessed with Bollywood movies? The answer for that would be that those movies had a hypnotizing effect on people in Germany, especially those with migration background. In the 2000s, there was a Bollywood hype occurring in Germany with the German TV channel RTL 2 showing Bollywood movies.
Es gibt etwas, das ist größer als Hollywood. Bollywood. Kino made in Indien.
Ich werde dich zurückholen, Rahul. Ich werde auch dich zurückholen, Anjali. Nach Hause.
Der weltweit erfolgreichste Film aus Indien. In guten wie in schweren Tagen.
While cutting this video, I just realized that this is, for Indian people, the first time to hear Shah Rukh's German voice. Like, this is how I grew up with the movies.
Und zu ihr sagen, hey, wer immer du bist, ich liebe dich.
On the 19th November 2004, they aired In Guten wie in schweren Tagen, or the original title Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, which was the first movie to be synchronized in German. I'm trying to pronounce everything correctly. I'm sorry if I say something wrong, but you gotta admit it's really impressive that I still know the Hindi names of those movies. So the German people started to fall in love with Indian culture with every movie that was released. There was for some time even a TV channel that was just playing Bollywood movies. I don't know if that even exists anymore, but who watches TV, right? During that time, a 7-year-old Ninolicious found a new obsession that will follow him for the next 22 years of his life. And when I say obsession, I really mean that. I fucking love those movies. Even when I was living in the Zen monastery, I forced people to watch them with me because I wanted them to fall in love with those stories too. And let's be honest, what's better for your spiritual path than watching Rahul and Anjali? And once I even touched Holy Land when I was flying back from Nepal. I landed in Delhi at the airport. Well, I was just at the airport, but I was in India. And there really is just something about that culture. One time I had this really deep meditation where I kind of had the feeling that in a former life I was an Indian woman. I don't know why it's a woman. I could tell you, like, I love the music, I love the traditional dresses, I love all those rituals they're doing, but it's more of a sense. It's kind of like home. Even though I tactically never entered Indian borders, I don't know if I would really feel comfortable there, not because I don't want to visit a country, but I have a really big problem with pollution in general, and I think that's a real big topic there, especially if you're not used to it. Still, there is this really, really deep connection, and I think it could also have something to do with my Serbian roots, because the more you go to the east, like from Europe to India, the more the music gets more Indian-like. So Serbian music has a lot of similarities to Indian music, and I think that was something that made the path for me to love the movies. So since the Indian film industry is much bigger than just the Bollywood genre that I mainly watched, I can't include everything, of course, but to give you a glimpse of my taste in movies, those are my favorites. Of course, Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Veer-Zaara, Kal Ho Naa Ho. Yeah, you can see that I'm a big Shah Rukh fan. I've watched a lot of movies without him too, of course, but he's the king of Bollywood. Also, if you know other good movies, please let me know in the comments, because I always am looking for new cool movies. But it's really important that I have good music. That's the most important thing. But yeah, let's get back to the topic, should we? So, why is the portrayal of love so much more intense and emotional than in other movies or series that are, for example, produced in the US?
Leo, I was born to love you. And I always will.
First big point, culture. So of course there's also culture in Germany, but it's not so present anymore, especially in those modern days. I don't know if it is still in India, let me know in the comments, but the way it's portrayed in movies, traditional clothing, dancing, and music are a big part of it, which is something we don't see so often. So, of course, it has more magic for us. In Bollywood movies, the way they dress, they move, and they sing don't just help us to feel what the characters are feeling, they also create a whole different world.
वाह वाह राम जी जोड़ी क्या बनाई भैया और भाभी को.
It is kind of like watching a fairy tale where people are dressed beautifully. Especially the heritage and importance of family really elevates the whole experience. Sometimes it's just them regularly wearing those clothes or visiting temples. Like I said, if you compare to Germany, when you go to church, you don't wear special clothing. And when they portray marriages, of course, that's also totally different. Also, there is this one prayer that's always stuck in my head. It's in a lot of movies. It's like Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Jai Jagadish Hare Om Jai Jagadish Hare. I think I googled it once and it's like prayer to a goddess. I'm gonna have to Google that later. So just because of those beautiful prayers, those colorful images, and the way they portray how they love their country is something that is kind of magical and is something that you really like to watch. Another big point is that they always break some kind of social norm in the movies. And when it comes to breaking laws, love is always the thing that overcomes everything. Sure, love overcomes everything is not a new concept for us, but I don't think that it was so much 20 years ago how it is now. One of the most famous examples for me is the love of Rahul and Anjali in Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, where they are from a different social class, which probably has much more layers because of the historic caste system in India. And I was watching some explanation videos about that, and still it's kind of hard to grasp that, since in Germany we don't have anything like that, not even historically. Well, basically we do, but it was a really, really long time ago. As far as I understood it, there are different castes, and as much higher you are in the hierarchy, the more value and social status you got as a person, even with untouchables or Dalits, who are not even part of the caste system. They were not allowed to go to the same temples, drink from the same fountains, or go to the same schools, which is something that, of course, as a concept, rings a lot of bells. And as far as I read, reports say even though legally the caste system does not exist anymore, socially it is still a thing, especially when it comes to who you marry. Even though in the movies it is not said in which caste who is, Anjali and Rahul would not be in the same one. One of the biggest problems is that Rahul's father Yash does not see Anjali as a good fit for Rahul, since she is not enormously rich and her family just owns a candy shop, and of course because she broke his gamla. But yeah, that's kind of how I understood the social dynamics. Again, correct me in the comments if it's wrong. But, well, Anjali and Rahul still fall in love and also gain the power of teleportation. And after Rahul marries her, his father bonds him and Anjali, which makes them move to London. Imagine being that rich that you can just move to London. And then Rahul's sexy brother Rohan has to bring his family back together, while he falls in love with Anjali's also very sexy sister. And even though neither in German nor in Serbian culture we got those big of clashes or problems when it comes to who you want to marry, and it's really hard to grasp, you still feel with the characters. Through the acting, through the wonderful songs, we understand what great obstacle this apparently is. So we sit there and cry for 2 hours while the family finds back together. And while the chemistry between Kajol and Shah Rukh is just amazing. I love every movie that they are in. Because of that, all the movies they appear together are on my top 10 list. Other great examples are Veer-Zaara, in which movie Veer stays in prison for Zara to keep her honor as a woman for like 22 years or something. Kal Ho Naa Ho, in which Aman knows that he's going to die soon, so he tries to make Naina fall in love with Rohit.
Könnt ihr wen?
Or fuck. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge? You know which movie I'm talking about. This movie is in the theaters for like more than 30 years, I think. Didn't they also create like a statue of Simran and Raj? I think they did. Simran Raj statue. Yes, they did. Marking 30th year of Yash Rai Films' historic blockbuster Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge. Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol unveiled bronze statue of Raj and Simran at London's Leicester Square. Nice. As I said, they are just amazing actors. If Shah Rukh Khan is the king of Bollywood, then Kajol is the queen of Bollywood, and you can fight me on that. Anyway, so in that movie, Simran, who is engaged to a man in India, even though she lives in London and has never met him, falls in love with Raj. And it is awful and it is sad until, in the end, everything is nice. So yeah, love overcomes every obstacle, something that we all kind of wish for ourselves, don't we? Love without needs. So of course, in the stories, love is the most important aspect. A love between two humans that is so strong that nothing can get between it. And as a kid, of course, you don't know that those kinds of love are as rare as getting born as a beautiful Bollywood actor. And I mean that, they're all so fucking beautiful. They gave me body dysmorphia a lot of times. But again, it's really hard to compare yourself with so beautiful actors if you are 8 years old, right? Anyway, something you realize when you grow up is that love is not always like that. But deep inside of us, we all love the desire to be loved and would love to be loved the way they love each other in those movies. And one point why this works so good, and I think can actually work in real life under certain circumstances, is that in all those stories, their love is so pure and selfless that they don't care about any other need anymore. They simply don't need anything else except from being with each other. It kind of scratches the thing we hear in a lot of spiritual traditions where they say that if you don't need anything from your partner, like him regulating you, helping you to distract yourself from your problems, and you not projecting 100 different problems into them, then love can be really pure. Of course, that is a really enlightened state of being, which is really hard to get, but apparently in those movies they are all kind of enlightened. So their love is so pure that we as incomplete beings in search for happiness can't help but to feel drawn to them. Of course, in reality, those kind of loves can also mean that you're clinging to the person itself and can't be separated even for a day. But of course, we're talking about imaginary stories. The purity of their love. I think one of the most important points for me is this one. In those movies, a lot of times they are the first love of each other. Women did not even had close contact to any other males like Simran had. And even if they have male friends, which you can see in more progressive movies like with Anjali and Naina, it is just a friendship, well, at first. Still, this romantic connection is something holy that they don't just go into until the one person comes that is destined to come closer. And the best thing is, sex is not such a big topic. At least in the movies that I like to watch. Most of the time, they don't even kiss each other. They just do this really funny thing where they rub their faces against each other. But that's the thing, they don't need those things. Because like teenagers, when you fall in love for the first time, it's about being close to each other, spending time, and sex is just something far in the future and not their desire in that interaction. Two missing pieces found together and don't need a penis or a vagina to feel completeness. The acting and the music transport these emotions better than any overforced sex scene would, like in all new Netflix and Hollywood movies. this deep desire to connection is what makes us love those movies. And as I said already, what really helps this whole storytelling is the musical factor. Of course, there are also musicals in Germany, but usually the movies we watch are around 1.5 hours. Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, for example, is 3.5 hours long. Not because there's so much story, but because half of the movie is them singing and dancing about the emotions that they are feeling right now, which makes us understand their desire for each other, or their pain, why they can't be together, and the moments of love. And I think in a country like Germany, where dancing and singing, as well as like expressing your feelings in public, is not so widespread, this contrast is really hypnotizing. But still, even though people always say that Germans are stuck up and emotionless robots, it is not like that. Still, of course, when you come from a culture where singing and dancing together is more a thing, you kind of connect to those stories more than people from Western countries would. And in the end, I think it is just simply giving us a lot of time to live in this dream of love, to be loved, to experience love with people we get to know in the movies. And they give us a lot of times, 3.5 hours, to stay with the people, to see how families reunite, how lovers find together, and how love overcomes everything. And before I end this video, if you have watched it until now, you probably know something about Bollywood movies. So I have been looking for this one movie for a really long time. I've watched it when I was like 11 or something. There's this movie where there is a woman that is married, I think, and a guy falls in love with her, then causes an accident, which makes her husband die, and she gets some kind of amnesia, and because of that she does not even remember that she was married, and that guy who caused the accident makes her fall in love with her. Something like that. If you know that movie, please write it down in the comments, because I've been looking for that for the last 15 years and I can't find it. Like, not even now with artificial intelligence, I can't find this movie. So please, if you know it, write it down in the comments. So yeah, that was my short summoning up what I love about those movies. Yeah, I would love to know why you love the movies. Are there different aspects that I don't know about? Are there different genres outside of Bollywood that are also amazing? Let me know. I would love to discuss it with you.